What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Good Success Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Culler, and today we have a full house here. It is hot in here, but we got the whole Good Success team along with us, and yes, we are in a new studio. So this is not exactly how it's going to look. It's still under a little bit of construction. We're still working on some things. You guys might see the panels back here, but we're going to have those on the wall. We're going to have a nice mural back here, but new recording studio, so that means that we're going to be pumping out a lot more content for you guys, so a lot more podcasts. We're going to be getting Tom in a lot of those, and then the rest of the team as well. So you guys are going to get a lot more Tom. So are you ready for that?
Tom.
A lot more Tom. Okay.
Tom time on Tuesdays.
There you go. Tom Tuesdays. Yes, there you go. We're going to keep it at that. So anyway, we are live right now on Facebook. Thank you guys for joining us. Make sure you're giving a big thumbs up and then also sharing this around. We want to get this message out. So today we're actually going to talk about... I'm going to have to keep an eye on Tom. He's misbehaving the whole time. He's going to throw me off. So before we get into the actual podcast, we're going to talk a little bit about our events that are coming up. So in a couple of weeks, we're having our May Mastermind, May 9, 10, and 11. It is in Chicago. It's actually in Lisle, Illinois, but right outside Chicago. So we are still accepting people. So if you're interested in the Mastermind, we bring elite group of real estate investors into one room from across the country. We collaborate, help solve each other's problems, network. There's a lot that goes on in it. It's 3 days and it is awesome. The room is filling up fast. We have a pretty good room put together for the May event, and obviously our current members are going to be there as well. So if you are interested, go to goodsuccess.com/mastermind. Kevin's not going to link it below because Kevin's sitting right there. So we're going to have somebody to link it below for you guys, whoever's monitoring this right now. So goodsuccess.com/mastermind. Go check it out. You have to fill out an application. We don't let just anybody in. Obviously, we vet your numbers and what you're doing on a business level, but also your character and what type of person you are and what your core values are and that kind of thing. So Jarrod is actually the one that you got to get through. This is the stone wall right here.
Bodyguard.
Bodyguard. He's the gatekeeper. Yeah, exactly. The line of defense. So he is the one that's going to be talking to you. If you have talked to him, I'm sure that you got a big joy out of that. Mm-hmm. So, goodsuccess.com/mastermind. So go check it out. Yeah. We'll have a link below. Next event that we're going to talk about is the Community Go-Giver event, which we are super excited about. Since we went live last week with Dewey, we actually got another 2 speakers, Josh Belk and Eddie Wilson, are confirmed to come. So Eddie Wilson is the CEO of Affinity Worldwide, which is just, it's like 800 companies underneath it or something like that. I think it's more like 80, but yeah, slight exaggeration. So Eddie is actually going to be at the event, and then Josh Belk, one of our accountants, he is going to be there. Both of them are actually in our mastermind. They are members of our mastermind, so we're super excited to have them. It is just a heavy hitter lineup that we're going to have there. Walter Walford, Jeffrey Taylor, Jim Ingersoll, Gary Harper, Ken Lacey, Sean Waddle. There's a lot of going on. So we're excited about it.
About me.
And then Tom's going to be there. So Tom is going to be speaking.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to leave that out because it's a given. Tom is obviously going to be there. But yes, Tom is one of the heavy hitter lineups. He's the headliner. So if you guys are interested, go to communitygogiver.com. We'll have a link below. Seats are selling out. We only have 80 available. Once we hit 80, we're done. No more. We're not taking any more people. That is what the fire marshal has told us. So we only are allowed to have 80. So go sign up, communitygogiver.com. Tom, do you want to talk about this a little more?
And this is our first event. So I actually think that this event is going to turn into something really big. You just think about Community Go-Giver. Like it's almost like it's a brand in itself. It's just a way of thinking. It's a way of like everything that you do in your community affects somebody a certain way. And that's really what we're going to end up pushing out over the next couple of years. I can actually see this event having thousands and thousands of people at it in a couple of years. So if you want to say, I was here at the first event, sign up for this year, I really honestly believe it's going to sell out. A friend of mine is having an event right now in September, and he already sold out that. And it's pretty much, I wouldn't say this is the same type of concept, but it's the same type of people that would come to that event. I know it's going to sell out. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of local people here that are already planning on coming. So if you want to be a part of that, communitygogiver.com.
Yeah, make sure you guys sign up. It's going to be an awesome event. We are having it at our office. So where we are at in our studio right now, this is our office. So you guys will get to take a look at the studio. By then, it'll be done. So you guys, if you come, we might grab you in here and do a quick recording with you or something like that. But communitygogiver.com, make sure you sign up below. And that's going to be it for our events. A lot going on, a lot of products we're going to be having. And then later on, I'll have Kevin talk about the actual signing up for our Active Turnkey ebook that we are pushing out. We've had this around for a while, but we are revamping that, getting you guys on our email list so that we can actually send you newsletters, which we are going to be doing very soon. I know we were doing it for a while, but we have dialed back. We're going to refocus our efforts into specific content and get that out to you guys. So let's go ahead and jump into this. So the topic for today is what good success is to us. So obviously you guys are listening right now. This is episode 100 for our podcast. So huge milestone. I can't believe we're at 100 episodes. That is crazy. Tom and Jarrod were actually...
We should have a party or something.
We should be having a party.
Really?
So, yeah.
Celebrate.
We're going to have a party. We actually have some boom cannons behind these stretch banners once we're done with this. Mm-hmm. So yeah, exactly. So Jarrod's got the button. He's going to hit it.
Absolutely.
Don't forget.
At
Can
episode
we
2...
just eject somebody?
Maybe. No, we can't do that.
It's not
We have a new
eject.
studio.
Can we vote on?
We have some knuckleheads that are in this room. So this is going to be a fun podcast. Anyway,
Sorry, Heather and Kevin are here.
They're
Sorry,
misbehaving.
guys.
So
Calm down.
on episode, we actually just talked about this on episode 3. We actually had Jarrod and Tom talking about what good success means to them. And we titled it "What is the right type of success?" And so and that answers it. Is good success is really what it means to us is the right kind of success, not necessarily the quantity. So like I said, with the mastermind, we actually do vet your numbers and like what type of deals you're doing, how many you're doing every year, and that kind of thing. But we also vet who you are as a person. So what are your core values? How do you act around other people? I mean, do you have integrity when it comes to dealing with customers? Have you been put in a position where you got wronged and you actually did the right thing by moving on or taking care of the person that wronged you? That kind of thing. And Jarrod asks also all those questions when you get on the phone with them. But that is kind of, in a nutshell, what we think when it comes to good success. Now, each of us here, we actually talked about this today. We wanted to bring everybody in the room for this because each person here might have a different opinion on what actually good success means to them. We all have our own core values, our internal mission, and all that stuff. But a little bit of a thought behind that because obviously episode 100 is huge. And so we wanted to have the entire team in on this to kind of get their input on what good success is. So we're actually going to start with Tom. And Tom is going to talk a little bit about what good success is and what it means to him. We obviously have an origination of the actual phrase good success. I assume Tom's going to talk about that. So Tom, we're good. Before I get into that, we're actually going to have this a little bit of an open discussion. So everybody's going to be talking, so if Tom says something and Jarrod wants to reply to that, we're going to make that happen and kind of make this an open discussion, open forum for us. And then also you guys can leave comments below. Let us know if something is said and you're like, oh, that makes sense. I like that. Leave a comment below for us. We'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on good success for you as well as we're talking about this because that phrase oftentimes doesn't really resonate with people until it's explained to them. So that's what we're here for today. This does mean a lot to us. We hope you guys find a lot of value in this. So, Tom, let's get into it. Good success. What is it?
Well, first of all, Josh, thank you for putting this together. This was actually kind of last minute for just so you guys know out there. Josh does a great job with this, and I really appreciate doing all this, and I think this is going to be a really good show. So, first of all, if anybody's ever heard me speak or talk to me much, you know that I always start with purpose. I always feel like good success is living your life for a purpose, on purpose. And for us, and for I can't speak for everybody, but most of the people that work for us and talk with us understand that we at least believe that God has to be part of that purpose. And so if you actually read the name Good Success, for us it actually came from the Bible, Joshua 1:8, and it says that then thou shalt have good success. Before that, it talks about then thou shalt make thy way prosperous. To me, the way I look at it is there's precursors to having good success. So the way I think about that is I think of the word prep. And so I always talk about that. If you guys ever heard me speak, you'll hear me say that. So P-R-E-P, and the very first P is purpose. And I think if you're prepared for life and you're prepared for opportunities and you take action, that's when success actually happens. So most of us in life aren't prepared when an opportunity happens. I'll give you an example in my own life. In 2009, 2010, we wholesaled 1,200 homes, and we thought that it was like just awesome. We were just killing it. We were just, wholesaling all these houses. But today I look at that and I think to myself, if I would have been prepared then and had private lenders lined up, I could have been holding those properties for 5, 6, 7 years. Mm-hmm. And now those same houses that we were selling for $39,000, $49,000 are now selling for $130,000, $150,000. So I can say there's been times in my life where I didn't feel like I was prepared. So I'm always trying to act proactively to live on purpose for the purpose that God's given me. And for me, that purpose is charity. And when I say charity, I mean the word love. I think the word charity means love, and I think the word love means God. So really, that's my purpose. My purpose is to glorify God by adding value to our communities.
And that's good that you explained that, because a lot of times when people hear the word charity, they think of like
giving to charities,
giving money to charities, volunteering, that kind of thing. So yeah, absolutely,
which is great.
That's fantastic. Absolutely, it's just it can have a different, when you look at it from a different point of view, and that's the way we all look at it here as well. But it also does include actually going out of your way to volunteer for charities and that kind of thing, because we obviously do that kind of stuff.
Right,
so.
and I even believe charity is not just giving; it's a way of living. Mm-hmm. And I know it sounds like a little catchy phrase, but it really is true. I mean, love should exude or should flow through us. It should flow through us just like a river. I mean, we should always be thinking, what can I gain from somebody, or what kind of love or what kind of blessing can I gain, not so I can have it, but then so I can give to somebody else. In my opinion, the work to have to give mindset mentality is what charity is all about, and that's what love is all about. If you think about just Jesus and what he did for us on the cross, and just understanding how much God's loved us and showing that love through other people. Second of all,
before you go on, Tom, I love what he said about purpose, because I felt like during a real busy time in my life, I was so crazy busy and I wasn't able to figure out priorities. And I thought to myself, like, if I could watch my own funeral, if I could stand back and watch what people said about me, what would I want them to say? What life would I want to live? What legacy do I want to leave? And that goes right along with purpose. So if you don't have your purpose, you don't even know how to make time management decisions or financial decisions, because you don't have any long-term ending goal.
Legacy is a great word to complement that too. Absolutely. By the way, I love that. Absolutely.
And it also goes along with work to have to give, because like if you don't ever have an outlet, if you think you're going to end up bringing it all with you, you're wrong. I mean, you have to find a way. So with legacy could be in your life, and you're just learning things to teach other people, gaining money to give away to people in need, or gaining money during your lifetime to be able to leave to your kids' inheritance. I think those are all the same concepts.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's about the journey too. You talked about, what are people going to say? I think I've had the same question at a funeral. What are people going to say about me? And it can sound a little selfish for a moment, but if you do it for the right purpose in the right manner, it's about the journey. And that's what good success is. It's not about the end, well, then what are people going to say at the very end? It's throughout that journey, what am I doing to help others?
Mm-hmm. It helps put your life in perspective, too, because so often we just don't really think about then. We think about only today and my problems, but thinking about then helps you put things in perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So, I mean, purpose, we're only here for a certain period of time, but I want to be laying up treasures for forever, and I also want to be leaving an inheritance to my children's children and beyond and beyond. I think it's hard for us sometimes to think of like 1,000 years or 10,000 years down the road, but like at least just think of yourself in the next 100 years. Like what are you going to leave on this earth, or what are you going to leave for eternity in the next 100 or 150 years?
To go along with that, though, we do tend to take that concept materially, or financially, but I think a good name is rather be chosen. That's a scripture, and so I think good success would be the legacy not having to do with as much with money, even though that's what we would like to leave, of course. But the good name, leaving that for our children as well. I think at times we could all see that there were times where people left a bad situation or a bad name, and their children had to overcome that. Well, maybe financially it's good, but also setting a foundation for them with their name and with a purpose, as opposed to, I think you can kind of tag those together. Those could be very parallel thoughts.
That kind of rolls right into stewardship, which is kind of something that we always talk about at Good Success. Again, it's like we created our core values not just to be core values in how we run our company, but really what I believe good success really ends up encompassing. And
we vet our members by the core values
based
as well.
on those core values. So when I say these are my core values, this isn't just like something we wrote on a piece of paper. Like it is like it's the way we live. So if you live your life as a steward and living your life so that way you're doing the right thing all the time. I mean, and to me that's integrity, that's being as honesty, that's all that is is stewardship. It's not believing that everything that I have is here for me. It's not thinking that I want to, again, work to have, because that's like, nothing you own is yours. I was even talking to Zach this morning. It's so funny. My little 4-year-old boy, and he has this little tiny cot that he used to get changed on. When he's a little kid, those little cots, they have this little thing. And my wife was going to give it to somebody because somebody had a baby and she thought that they would need it. And he was like throwing a fit because he didn't want to give it away. And I'm like, Zach, this doesn't even belong to you. Like it's nothing we have is ours. It's all been given to us. Everything that we have, every opportunity we've been given, isn't because of us. And I think if we start with that attitude when we're starting to gain and starting to live life, it changes our perspective on money. It changes our perspective on our material things. It changes our perspective on all of our deals that we're doing, But at the same time, it doesn't mean that we don't want to do the right thing and don't want to work hard, because that all has to happen. So being a good steward is twofold. You're looking at what can I do for somebody else, and it's not mine. But you're also looking at how can I double it, or how can I make it better? How can I make whatever I've been given better? You talk about time, talents, or treasure. It doesn't matter if it's money or not. It can be your time. It can be your talents or skills or things that you've learned in your life. If you just hold it in for yourself, that's not being a good steward of it. And then from there is community, and I think community is a big thing. And even if you look at our core focus, we talk about with glorifying God by adding value to our communities. Well, who are our communities? I think you have to talk about who the communities are first before you know what you're going to do for them. And one of my communities is right here, the Good Success team that we work with. One of my communities is the rest of the Olsen group that we work with. It's my family. It's your families. It's our church. It's all of our tenants. It's all of our mastermind members. It's all of the Community Go-Giver event members, the people that might come to that. And it's all the people that I can affect in any way or have an impact on. And so I want to make sure I'm doing the right thing, and I want to make sure that I'm not just here thinking about only myself, but thinking about how am I glorifying God by adding value to my communities. And what is that going to end up? That's going to end up giving me something, because it doesn't matter what you say, you will always reap what you sow. Whatever you give will always come back to you in some way, shape, or form. And again, it's all about your mindset when it comes to that. If you believe that when you give something out, it's going to come back to you, it tends to happen quicker, I believe. And I think having that belief in what you're doing, going back to the purpose, flows through everything that you do. So I think community is very important. I think that's showing up and participating. That is, I also believe it all has to do with being an encouragement. And just really honestly being thankful for what you've been given in life, and thankful for when people open the door for you, and thankful for when people do things for you. If you actually look for all the things that you could be thankful for in a day, you'll probably shock yourself. And really, I think it'll open up your mind a lot to how blessed we really are, especially us that live in America. We are such a spoiled nation sometimes, and to be thankful for the little things, I think even matters. But also, I think we ought to go out of our way to encourage people. I think encouragement is a key to having the right kind of success, and not just looking out for. I believe everybody in life ought to have somebody that encourages them, and they ought to have somebody that they encourage every single day. And
going back to so everything that he said there too. That's the reason why we're having the Community Go-Giver event. Yeah. We are having that to encourage our community, not just our geographical location, which we're in the city of Gary, and one of Tom and the entire company's vision for a life goal is to actually flip the city of Gary, Indiana. And that's where our office is located, so it fits perfectly, right? But that's why we're having the Community Go-Giver event, is because we want to influence, yes, our geographical location, but also our community, as in the people that come to that. So we'll have contractors there, we'll have investors there, we'll have lenders there, and all types of people in all types of walks of life that are wanting to influence their communities where they're at. So Walter Walford is the partner with us in the Community Go-Giver event, and his geographical location is Jackson, Mississippi, which he has events there as well. And so that's kind of the whole idea behind it, and taking care of our community geographically, but also influencing the people we work with in our network is huge. And that Community Go-Giver event, it's like this. So when you say something that okay, I actually did a video that talked about gratefulness. We were just talking about gratefulness, right? And there's a difference between feeling grateful for something and actually expressing that. And to our core values, we want to make sure that we're expressing that as well. So we do that, right? And that's what the Community Go-Giver event's for, is helping our community, which one of our core values is community. But then we also have charity. We also have stewardship. So we're actually expressing those core values and making those happen. And growth, right? Growth is our last one, which we'll talk about. But we're actually expressing that and not just saying these are our core values and so they look pretty. So everybody on the outside, praises us for that. But we're actually showing that, and that's what the Community Go-Giver event's doing. So I think that when you said that everything that you said about like taking care of our community, that really like stuck in my brain. I was like, yeah, we need to address that.
I think community, though, the whole concept, it means there's people outside of yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's not about you.
Absolutely.
So when you think of community, there are other people who need help, who need something that you can. One word we use all the time is value. So we can bring value to other people. And in the end, sometimes it doesn't truly matter if you truly get it then. The Go-Giver, the book, talks about that. It's giving value first, whether you really receive it back or not. Now, we do believe that you will, according to the laws of reaping and sowing. But the idea of the community itself does give you the idea that it's not about you only. It's about others.
No, absolutely. And I'm going to do an event. I'm going to be speaking at an event talking about how what we do actually does affect our community.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I honestly, for me, and I've been vulnerable already once, I'll be vulnerable again today. For me, I had a hard time fixing and flipping for the longest time because I kept thinking to myself, I'm going to fix and I'm going to flip and I'm going to make money, and I was only focused on me. And it wasn't, and I felt guilty about it. Like I honestly felt okay, I make 30 grand or I make 40 grand on fix and flip, and I felt like I wasn't really doing anybody any good. But then I actually, one of our mastermind members actually brought this up to me, Jeff, and said every single time you flip, if you can help raise the price of the home in that neighborhood, you're actually giving yourself margin for the next deal. So as you're giving first, and then eventually you come in with the next deal, and you're going to be able to maybe sell for a little higher. You're giving yourself margin every single time. But what else are you doing? Think about what you're doing to that entire community at that point. So say for instance, you go into a neighborhood and you start flipping homes, and the average price point in that neighborhood is 50, 60 grand, and all of a sudden you're flipping now for 80, 90, 100. Yes, you might be making some money, but what are you doing for that community? You're actually raising the value for every other person in that community. You're giving a whole lot more in value than you're actually taking in that $30,000. Because you might, let's just say all the rest of the houses aren't worth 30 grand more, but if 100 houses are only worth 5 grand more, you just poured $500,000 of value into that community by just doing one flip. Mm-hmm. That is a lot of extra value that you're giving to that community. Our turnkeys, our rentals that we help people buy, fix, and manage for them. We're offering a lot of value, and I've always understood the value of the turnkey. If you can offer a really great property management company on the back end, and you can really help make the investor money, that I understand that's always been a lot of value, and that's also a lot of value to tenants that really need property. So I've always understood that as well. And then when Walter's going to come in, he's going to talk about in the Community Go-Giver event about what he's doing. He's actually raising price points as well, but he's selling them owner finance. I actually just gave him this idea last time I was down there about putting those sales on the MLS, because that would help raise that margin that we talked about as well. So all those are like really great value adds to your communities as well. And I think I think sometimes us as investors, we fall prey to wanting to only focus on, I want to make money, it's all for me. Mm-hmm. And I think if we focus on who in the end is it really affecting and how are we actually helping our communities, I think it could not only be good, but it also will end up being better for us as well in the end.
That's the go-to purpose though that you were talking about is that's why we do what we do, you know. So awesome.
To help and affect the communities. And then the last one is growth. And growth is just when I get around people that I think that they feel like they know it all and they don't want to hear from anybody. Nobody likes to know it all, right? So to me, it's growth is growth for me. Is
Jarrod just coughed, so he was pointing somebody out.
He was insinuating it was me.
It's all about finding the simple tasks and doing them as best as you can and keep doing them better every single time. And a lot of that has to do with reading. Like, how much do we actually read? I think sometimes growth can be spiritual. Sometimes growth can be physical. If you're not trying to be healthy, sometimes I think our bodies, if our bodies aren't healthy, we don't feel like doing anything for anybody. And we're not really any good to anybody if we're not healthy either.
That's being so selfish too. Like, if you're not taking care of yourself, and I think you and I had this conversation. It's that because you got me on a tangent there because of health. There's so many of you out there that like don't take care of your health, your spiritual life, and your mental life. Like, you're being selfish because you are dropping your potential when it comes to performance. So take care of yourself because you'll be able to perform on a much higher level when it comes to it, and that's even eating right and that kind of thing. So like, because that was me like a couple years ago where I was eating junk all the time. You know, this cocky 21-year-old that's like, I can eat anything and I'll be fine.
Monsters and Red Bull.
Yeah, and then you gain 40 pounds and then you're sluggish all the time. You can't perform at a high level. Like, that's totally, and that's growth though. That's totally growth, is taking care of yourself, your health, your mind, your spiritual life, like that kind of thing. Absolutely.
Yeah, and growth needs to come in stages. You have to be careful about growth. You can't go too fast.
Right.
Grow too fast.
Absolutely.
I do believe that there's growing too fast. But like you brought up, I believe that you should be growing in mind, body, and spirit all the time. There ought to be some kind of growth in there. And sometimes growth is saying no to things. Sometimes saying no to the wrong things actually helps us say yes to the right things, and that's also part of growth. Every single day we probably should be thinking to ourselves, what should I not do today that I might have done if I didn't determine that I'm not going to do that.
That's a good way of looking at it.
So there's so many things that we could go into for growth, but I think growth is self-explanatory a little bit more to most people. But all in all, you kind of just brought up potential, and that's kind of how I would end this. Is I believe everybody in life you're put here for a reason. I'm put here for a reason, and you all have a potential. I have a potential in what I can reach, and if I am not honoring God, if I'm not loving people, and if I am not giving and working to having to give, if I'm not acting as a steward, if I'm not giving to my community and thinking about my community and encouraging my community, and I'm not growing every single day, I'm not going to reach that potential. Mm-hmm. And just like you said with health, if you're not healthy, you're not going to be able to perform at the highest level possible.
Right, and that's the point. Is right. If you can't perform, you're not going to be able to affect these other core values that you have.
So growth has to happen, but you also have to focus on the right things, and that's really, to me, what good success is all about.
Well, I think one of the key words we hear in our communities is the word influence. And I don't think we're going to be able to do that without growth, right? But I think I was reading one of John Maxwell's books, and he talked about the concept that sometimes we believe that we are naturally going to grow in knowledge because of our age and experience. And in fact, reading a book recently, it brought to light, Mark Twain said that the difference between someone who's ignorant and they can't read and somebody who doesn't read good books is nothing. They're the same person. The person who, they may do a bunch of reading, but if they're not learning and growing, then there's no difference between that person who has no ability to read. And so I think, again, the concept of, we believe, well, in a couple of years, I think I'll be at the point where I can do something. If we're not, in fact, he talks about a growth plan. I think it's very convicting, because again, we do think just by osmosis we're going to start growing.
Right.
But if we're not actually working, and Tom, you're planning on reading 50 books this year, so that's a growth plan. You're going to read 50 books. So what are we doing daily to help us with that growth? And otherwise, we won't see it happen.
Love it. Awesome. So we're going to actually go into the next one. Kevin hasn't said anything, so we're going to have Kevin
on the spot
go into this next one. So Kevin, good success. Having the right kind of success.
What does good success mean to me?
Yeah.
So if you're watching this video, if you're listening to the podcast, if you're in our community, or maybe you stumbled across us for the first time, more than likely you're very interested in success, and you probably have your own definition of success and what that looks like. But we're all very interested in success, and having good success is not just about producing at a high level and having all these results and that's it. It doesn't stop there. And so, of course, it's important to be a very good steward of what God has given you. God has given you gifts. God has given you influence. God's giving you a path in this life to live. And good success is following that path with God, and also using those gifts that God has given you to accomplish His will and to affect others as well. And so we believe in being a good steward and we also believe in growth. We believe in charity. And so, how is your business concerning success? Would you consider yourself successful? What about your relationships? How about your relationship with God? How about your relationship with yourself? How about your relationship with your spouse, your family, your kids, your coworkers, the people that you do business with? How are your relationships? Would you consider them to be very successful? What about your health? We just talked about health. Would you consider your health plan, your health goals, a success? That plays an important role in every aspect of your life. If you're not healthy yourself, that's probably going to impact your relationships, your business. Every aspect of your life is influenced because of that. So how's your health? Is that successful? How's your relationships? Is that successful? How's your business? Is that successful? All these things that we talk about, it's having a well-balanced life, and that is good success. And a lot of people just focus on producing, and it doesn't matter if you lose your health. As long as you're making money, it's okay. It doesn't matter who you offend, who you undermine, who you undercut. It doesn't matter all the bad deals that you do. It doesn't matter. As long as you're making money, that's all that counts. And that is not what good success is. And so good success is having a well-balanced life with Christ, with your relationships, with others, making influence, having influence, increasing that influence. And if you're not growing, then you're being very selfish. And if you don't have good success, then you need to work towards that. And like Tom says, work to have to give. So use your talents, be productive, do a good work, glorify God, help others, and that is good success.
I like the word balance there.
I love what you said about balance.
That's perfect, because that you have to balance. Okay, we talk about the core values a lot, so you got to balance those. But not just in business, but in personal life too, and just every aspect of your life, it's got to happen. Because if you don't, then business seeps into personal seeps into business, and it's just a never-ending cycle.
It's very crucial because life is busy, right? Life is insane, especially if you're an entrepreneur or you have a large company or you're trying to build something. Life is insane, and then you have a family on top of that. You have your spouse, you have your family, you have church, you have charity, you have all these things, and you're trying to grow a business. Life can get incredibly busy, right? And so how do you have that balance? And so a great illustration is just like you're driving down the road. Perhaps you're listening to this podcast and you're driving down the road and you're behind the steering wheel and you're constantly adjusting, right? But you're going straight. You're just constantly adjusting. You're not all over the place unless
some people are.
It's a constant adjustment, and that's all life is.
Chris.
Life is constantly adjusting.
Chris, we're outnumbered.
Constantly adjusting.
That's good.
That's awesome.
I think it's a good point, and I think I like balance to a certain degree. But like you said, driving down a road, you're always down a different road. So in life. And I used to struggle with that balance. I really did until I heard a guy talk about there's seasons in life. So there's seasons in life when you have kids where your balance or your what you do has to change. Mm-hmm. And there's other seasons when you go to college, for instance, that the what you do, who you interact with, those roles and responsibilities you talked about they change. And it's okay because it all has to be part of the bigger purpose and the reason why we're here. So at least that's something that's helped me over the years because I feel like there's been times where and maybe I did work too much. In my 20s, I'll tell you, I worked 70 to 80 hours a week almost every single week. It was just me and my wife. And I'm not saying I did anything wrong or could have done anything better. I'm not sure. I feel like a lot of the reasons why God's blessed me with what He's blessed me with now is because of all that hard work we put in then. But it was a season in my life. I don't feel like that would be right for me to do that now. Mm-hmm. So again, I really like the balance part, but I also think there's seasons in your life where the balance shifts a little bit differently. I know Jarrod's got kids. And, like me, there's certain times where you've got to be there for those kids. You can't just completely ignore them.
Well, I think there's a give and take with that word balance.
Yeah.
Because I agree with you. I agree with both of you. I think you're both right. I think in our line of business, we talk about core genius. We talk about what you're really good at. But as a parent, because I'm not really good at this particular thing,
you don't have a choice.
I can't do it, right?
You don't have a choice,
right? And maybe as a Christian, maybe my prayer life or my scripture reading, or I'm weak in those areas. I can just say, well, I'm not so good at it, so I'm just going to put it away.
Weak in a lot of areas.
Well, yes. So that's why I'm in trouble. That's why I'm trying to grow. But I mean, we can try to work that, and so I think Tom's right. There are seasons. I completely agree, and he's right. There's corrections,
Yeah.
but I think there's also the mentality we got to be careful of. Well, I'm not good at that, so I'm going to focus on this strength. We've had discussions about this, and I think that's something we can really focus on is being well balanced, but like you said, in the right seasons.
Well,
Because there's
people
still
know.
balance in the season. There's still
Well,
balance.
and it's because like there's certain roles or responsibilities that they're yours and nobody else can have those
Right,
responsibilities
exactly.
or roles. So those are the ones that we really kind of have to be careful of and rein in sometimes, and sometimes less is better when it comes to some of that kind of
And,
stuff.
and that's the conversation we had because I said, I want to triple down on my strengths and not worry about any of my weaknesses. But then you mentioned that I was like, you know what? Okay, that is accurate in
Well,
some
you're not
stages.
married yet. You're not
right,
married yet.
exactly. I'm going to be,
But
but
he's engaged.
right. But when it comes to specific roles in life, that's a good analogy. There are things that, and it's common sense. Like you know that you got to strengthen up on these weaknesses. Like if you don't read your Bible and pray every day, like that's obviously a weakness that you have. You need to work on that. Like that's a role that you have to play. So that's totally makes sense. So
It goes back to what Tom also said earlier about sometimes you have to say no so you can say yes to something else.
Yeah.
So you're an entrepreneur, you're killing it, right? Your business is growing like crazy, but you have a son that has a t-ball game tonight and it's the championship game. So what are you going to say no to so that you can say yes? I mean, there's going to be some tough decisions, and you're going to have to make that decision on, do I want to have this type of success or do I want to have good success here? So
yeah,
That's good.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So before we move on to the next one, I'm so sorry, guys. I didn't introduce everybody. So you know Tom. So Tom is the president of Good Success. So we'll start there. So he's off to the side here. Kevin is the marketing director of Good Success, and so that was awesome stuff, by the way, Kevin. So good job on that.
Yeah,
So
good
anything
job.
that you see marketing wise, he's the brains behind it. He's the guy that makes it happen. Christina is the integrator of Olsen Group, which we have Olsen Group, and then underneath it are several other sub brands. Good Success is one of those, and she looks after that. She also helps a lot in operational stuff. So I wouldn't say she's my assistant, but she helps out on a lot of it. So
He said
she
it.
helps out on a lot of that
He said
stuff
it.
at the actual events. She just fired me on the phone. Man.
You can finish, though. You can finish.
So let me finish this
down
down.
for that
Let me
one,
finish
guys.
the-
Thumbs down.
Next week, when you see another host on the show, you know what happened. You were here for
You were
that.
here.
So, and then Heather is our finance director, and she also helps out in client care. So, if you're a mastermind member, you get a lot of that stuff. You guys are getting spoiled all the time. That's coming from her, the cards and stuff like that. So, I know we sent out a big tin of popcorn before, and you guys love that. So that was awesome. So she takes care of that. And then Jarrod is our sales director as well. So if you, like we said at the beginning of the podcast, if you're interested in the mastermind, this is the guy, this is the gatekeeper that you have to go through. So, he makes it happen. That we're gonna get him
Great title.
we're getting jerseys for everybody, and his is gonna say gatekeeper on
I
the
don't
back.
know
So,
what mine's gonna say.
yeah, we're not gonna talk about that right now.
Maybe we should add some muscles inside the shirt.
We're gonna try to do that.
One of those shirts.
Like
That was his weakness.
Not my
Spider-Man
strength.
zip up.
So anyway, so just to introduce the team, and you guys know who I am, Josh Culler, and I am the director of operations for Good Success. For now, for the rest of this podcast. So I make everything happen with the events and produce a lot of the content that goes out. So just a little introduction there before we move on. So Chris, we're gonna go to you next. So we're actually running out a little bit of time. So Chris is gonna have to leave here in a few minutes. She's actually just gonna walk out halfway through the podcast here, but. We're gonna run through the rest of these. That's not true. She's looking at me like you're fired again, and so we don't
times.
want that to happen.
One
So,
podcast.
so
Two times
Chris,
in one day.
Chris, let's get into it. So, Good Success. What does it mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, you guys all did great.
I was gonna say outside of everything that we said.
Everything that's already been said.
What she said.
Yeah.
Pretty much. No, I would say it's making a difference. I would say that it's impact. So I think kind of what Heather said, when I die, the key thing would be the difference still being there and continuing. I think that would be
Perfect.
summing it up
Awesome.
in the short period of time we got left.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. All right,
Yeah.
Jarrod.
I was thinking when you asked the question earlier, and I think what I love about it is that it's not definable per se. We've had discussions internally about what good success is, and we've talked about it's not a destination. It's something you do every day. You do good success every day. But what I also like about it is that it's not specific, because to the point where everyone has to do what Tom does to have good success. And also, we don't truly know what that means in eternity, because what I do today I can have good success today. And that can mean something for people, and it has kind of like, it can hit somebody else and hit somebody else. And so I truly don't know what kind of good success I will have until I get to heaven and get to see what that looked like. So that's why I do believe good success is important as a way of life, but it's important for today. So sometimes we may get lost in what I did yesterday, mistakes and things I didn't do. I didn't follow my growth plan yesterday, or I didn't do this or that. But if I do it today, I can still have an impact on eternity, and I don't know what that looks like, but we can have an impact. So like I like the word impact or influence, but the idea that we can have good success and we can see some of it, that's great that we can. But we never truly know what kind of impact will have.
In parallel with that too, we had talked about, we've had a meeting about, so we're going to be doing Good Success Awards at our mastermind. So each core value that we have, we have 4 events, we have 4 core values, so we're going to give an award away to one of our members about the core value and what they stand for, and then we'll have one big Good Success award that we're going to hand out to one person yearly. So what we were talking about is, what does good success even mean to our community? And so we can't define that ourselves, because it might mean something different to the mastermind members, even people that are listening right now. So I think that, like, definitely good success is for sure it's a journey for sure, but it might mean something different to everybody. And that's kind of why we're doing this here, is because we want to hear what everybody has, because my thought on good success is different from what everybody else has said. Like, we're all in correlation with each other. We all get, like, everything Tom said, everything Kevin and Jarrod and Chris have said so far, we all know that, but we have different points of view when it comes to it. It's same destination, but different ways to get to that. So I love that, absolutely.
And what Jarrod said is, it's not necessarily about where you're going, although everybody's where we're going is a little different, because we all have a different purpose. It's about the daily activities that we're doing in order to get us there. And understanding that, like you said, if you didn't do it today, you can still do it tomorrow, and wake up tomorrow and decide I'm going to do this today. And I think that good success is a daily thing. So
that's freedom too.
Yeah,
because if someone doesn't define what good success is for you, I can't tell you that.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that's some freedom there, and because sometimes people may feel boxed in, and the problem is you're not being yourself. You know, be free to do what God created you to do, and there's freedom there, and then you can enjoy good success. It should be enjoyable.
Awesome. All right, Heather. We got 2 more. We're going to round this up real quick. So, Heather, what do you have? Good success.
I think everything that was said was awesome. The only thing that my thoughts to add would be good success is living for others. In our generation, especially the millennial generation, we're very self-centered. We just tend to think.
And you're right on that edge, aren't you?
I am. I made it by a year.
She made it by a year.
I don't know if I'm proud about that or not. And so we just feel like we're entitled. Like,
what did you say you were again?
Huh?
What did you say that you were again?
A millennial. I said it. There you go.
I thought you said you were self-centered. I'm sorry.
Okay.
That's what she
So what I was saying.
That's what she said.
We feel entitled. We feel like things are, expected. We're just expecting to have these things, and it's not a fun way to live. I feel like every day I fight selfishness, and when I was younger, I felt like I was extremely selfish, very self-absorbed, only caring about what was going on in my life instead of what was going on in others. And it ends up not being a fulfilling way to live at all. And so being able to live your life for others is definitely much more rewarding.
Awesome. Fantastic. So I guess it comes down to me then. I'm just trying to sit here and my stomach's growling right now, so I'm going to make this short and sweet. I haven't eaten lunch, so everything that everybody has said so far is definitely... So we're going to round this up because me and Heather are hungry right now, so we got to go eat lunch. So everything that everybody has said is definitely like perfectly right in line with how it feels to us, obviously. For me, just to add to what has been said already, when we get this question a lot. So last time we were in Think Realty was Atlanta last year. So the end of 2017. We're going to Baltimore this next weekend for Think Realty, and every time we go to a Think Realty event and we have our display kit up, it says good success, and then we have these stretch banners around us and everything, and then we have our our business cards and whatever brochures that we have with us at the time, and we always get the question, like, people stop, literally, it's not like an aggressive look, it's more of like, and it's not confused, it's more of like curiosity, and then they look at us and say, so what is good success? And obviously they're talking about the product or service we're selling, right? So that's the first thing that they're thinking about is, okay, what can you offer me? Why did I just stop at your booth? That kind of thing. I go into obviously the services that we have. So we have our mastermind, and then we haven't pitched our community Go Giver event last year, so this event is going to be the first time we do that. But for me, once I'm done with explaining the mastermind, I go right into because it always follows up with a question. So why good success? What does that even mean? For me, the first thing that I say is, well, it's all about the quality of success, not necessarily the quantity. So when we were picking the name Good Success, we had the choice of great success, fantastic success, or whatever, whatever other words you can use along with success. I mean, fantastic success, the domain was available, so we thought about it, but no, I'm just kidding, I'm totally kidding. But we could have gone with great success. Like, there's not really a company out there that's called Great Success. But we wanted it to be all about the quality of the work that you're doing, which is why we have the core values set in place of, community, charity, stewardship, growth. Those all encompass the quality of what you're actually doing on a day-to-day basis. And I love the fact that you talked about it's a journey, and that's the way I look at it too. It's not a destination. Like, once you get into the realm of looking at micro instead of macro, that's when it becomes real to you, is because every single day, every task that you're doing, every hour, every minute, every second, you're thinking about good success and the quality of what you're doing. When you're in a conversation with somebody that has wronged you, and maybe they gypped you, and you're thinking about, how am I going to peg these guys? How am I going to get them in legal trouble and sue them and all that kind of stuff? And yes, sometimes that might be necessary to do, but at the end of the day, you got to think about it in a way of, well, is this really going to impact them badly to where I regret that kind of impact? And so every single decision you make, every day, every second, it matters when it comes down to good success. And when you look at it at a micro level instead of macro, because a lot of times people are like, yeah, I want to reach good success. Like, I want to be there and say They use the word successful. People use the word successful when it comes to a status in life, and to them, success is a destination, and it's not. For good success, that's not what it is. It is a complete journey that you're taking that never stops. I don't even think it stops on the day you die. It continues past that, which is legacy. In our video that we did for, I believe it is about your why. We did a video. I'm on it, and we wrote the script for that, and it's an amazing script. If you guys haven't seen it, watch it. It's on our YouTube channel. If you go to Good Success on YouTube, it's the very first video that you'll see. And one of the phrases that we use in that video is, "Who will thank God that you lived your life?" That is like mind blowing. Like, who will thank God that when you are dead, that you lived your life, and so that they could live theirs into whatever it is. So it's all about the impact that you have on people when it comes to good success. And that's the way I look at it. And that's why, like, the Community Go Giver event is huge for us, is because we're impacting our community. Like, we strongly believe in this event that we're not just here to try to make money. Like, that's not the purpose of this. The purpose of it is to try to influence our geographical location community, but then also our community of our network, people that we're in, so that they can go out and learn how to flip their communities and impact those people's lives. Walter always says, the phrase "a do-gooder," like, that's kind of what he is, right? So what he actually, it's an inadvertent thing that he actually makes happen, is that he's a do-gooder by providing that low-income housing and those opportunities for the people in Jackson. And I think that is totally good success. Like, it definitely is. So when it comes to good success, it's a journey, and that's the way I look at it. And it's the quality of the journey that you're taking, not the quantity. Anybody can go out there and make millions of dollars and say they're successful, but can they really say that can they really say they had good success, instead of just saying, yeah, I'm successful? But at the end of the day, when you die, what people did you impact, right? So that's the way I look at it for me. So that's all I got, and I think we're going to wrap it up at that. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Hopefully you found value in it. I think that this went really well. Thank you, the entire Good Success team. It was a very collaborative thing, so I was excited about making this happen. Even Chris, even Heather, even Kevin. But Jarrod said a lot too, so we're good. But thank you guys so much for watching this live stream. And then this is going to be published into a podcast after the live stream is finished. So if you are listening on the podcast, thank you so much for listening and making it through this with us. And drop a comment below. Let us know what good success it means to you after hearing what we have said. We would love to hear your guys' thoughts. And please don't be afraid. If it is not anything that we have talked about, still leave a comment below. We want to hear what you guys think. And
yes. What is good success to you? We'd love to hear from you guys.
Absolutely. So if you guys don't have anything else to add, we can go ahead and wrap this up.
Awesome.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks, Josh.
So you guys watch the live stream. Make sure you give it a big thumbs up. Share this around because it is going to be published after the live stream's done. So make sure you share it around and get the word out. Good success. We want this to happen. Community Go Giver, the Community Go Giver event. We're going to have it linked below, communitygogiver.com. We've talked about that event enough times here, but we're going to have a heavy hitter lineup talking about flipping your community and also how you can actually make that happen. And so we have tickets, but only 80. I keep saying 80 available, but we are only selling 80.
Yes.
So we have a lot less left. It's going to sell out at 80 tickets. We're not taking anybody else, so make sure you sign up. And the prices go up every month that you guys wait. So go purchase those now. And then our May Mastermind coming up in a couple short weeks. I can't believe that it's already here. Second quarter it's crazy. it's just flying by insanely fast. So the Good Success Mastermind, go check it out. goodsuccess.com/mastermind. You do have to fill out an application. We ask that you do that, and then you get to talk to the gatekeeper here, Jarrod Stoltmeister. So he is going to vet you and kind of interview you at that. So that's going to do it for today's episode, guys. Thank you so much for listening, and remember, whether you're looking to survive, thrive, or matter, our goal is to provide the tools to reach your vision. Thanks again for listening to this 100th episode. We'll catch you on the next time.